So, something that a lot of people have talked to me about, and I see it online all the time, is people who are worried to go to their first munch alone. And I want to let you guys know that it's not a big deal. A lot of people go to munches all on their own. I've gone to, I can't even count how many munches I've gone to on my own and not knowing anybody there. I mean, like, it's one thing to go on your own once you're part of a community and you know everybody and you know that there's going to be like 100 people that you know at the munch. But I'm talking about, like, I've gone to cities that I've never visited before, and there's a munch happening while I'm there, and I'll go to the munch because I like meeting Kingsters from all over. And that's that, like, that's it. I just walk in all alone by myself. And that's totally okay. It's not unusual for people to go to a munch all by themselves. And if you are a little worried about it, because I understand if you've never been to a munch before, you might be a little, apprehensive about it. It's totally fine. I get it. I would suggest contacting the organizer of the munch ahead of time, and that way they can, either chat with you a bit online or meet up with you when you show up, and then they know you're new and they can introduce you to people. I would also suggest, if you don't contact them ahead of time, just show up at the munch, approach the organizer. They're usually, you can usually tell who's running things. A lot of munches have greeters, so there'll be people to welcome anybody new walking through the door and say, "Oh, hi," and especially if they don't recognize you, right? Because most munches, it's the same sort of group that goes on a regular basis. So if it's new people, they quickly know who's new, and they can introduce you around, but they won't do it unless they know that you're new and you're open to it. So a lot of times I will approach the organizer of a munch if I'm going somewhere in a totally new city, and I'll say, like, "Hi," I introduce myself. I'll say, I'm just visiting town, but I wanted to come and check it out. My hometown is Toronto. I'm part of the community there. What can you introduce me around? Can you introduce me to a few people or whatever? They're usually really cool about that. And some munches that I go to will ask you questions about, like, what are your interests, or what type of orientation, kink orientation do you have, so they can pair you with people that are suitable. So I know that they've put people at my table that were interested in, like, female dominant and submissive type relationships. So I've had male subs, female subs, other female doms at my table, so we can talk and kind of, explain our little corner of the scene, because, within the larger scene, there are definitely little niches and whatnot that everybody kind of falls into. So that's totally normal. And I think that a lot of munches already do it. And I would hope even more munches will do that in the future, because I'm hitting things, because I think that it's a great way to get to know people, and especially people that have similar interests. One of the things that I really do want to stress is that at munches and in the kink community in general, we are really, really used to people who show up once and then never again. And we call them tourists, right? So they just, like, pop in and then we never see them again. And sometimes they genuinely are tourists, because I go to munches in cities I don't live in. But, so don't expect to have people be super friendly the first time you show up, unless you happen to be really outgoing and reach out to them. But if it's, you're brand new, sometimes you have to show up 2-3 times before people are like, "Oh, that's so-and-so. I recognize them. They've been here a couple of times. I guess they're actually serious about joining us." And then they'll open up. But the first time, people might be a little standoffish. I think that it is probably different if you approach and say, like, "Hey, I'm part of my community back home. I'm just here visiting," versus, like, "I'm new and I want to do this," So I always suggest to people, set sort of your own quota of talking to, like, one person. That's your goal. Talk to one person, have a conversation, and then you can go, or whatever. And just try to relax and have a bit of fun, because that's what munches are supposed to be about, is fun. So we've all been there before. So what are your first munch stories? Have you gone to munches alone? Do you go to munches alone when you're traveling or whatever? Let me know what your first munch or your solo munch experiences are. Thanks, guys. I'll see you in the next one.